Welcome back, everybody. Silas here again. I just got a phone call. I'm on my way to check out an old warehouse. This was a lumber warehouse years ago. My dad bought it. I haven't been there in a while, but I guess there's something in it that's pretty cool and he's wanting to sell it. So I thought, you know, that's pretty unusual. That's worth making a video about. So I'm on my way there now. I'll see you guys in just a minute. Let's see what's in here. Futura. Whew, it is extremely windy. That wind just gusted and stuff went flying everywhere. I actually had to shut the yard down today because it was just getting to the point where I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even drain fluids out of the cars because it would just blow the oil sideways. All these boxes here are clear full of license plates. Clear full of them. I think there's like 5,000 license plates in this pile right here. I got those years ago. Stashed them in here and I've never done anything with them since. These are all ones that have to be destroyed and I just haven't had time to go through and shear them all in half yet. Futura, you don't see these very often. This one's pretty clean, really. Look at that. I bet you that's original paint too. That's a good looking car. Let's check out the interior. Oh wow. Blue on blue. They really like blue. Got a few rips in the interior, but not too bad. That's pretty cool. This place was an old lumber yard, kind of like Home Depot to some extent, or like Star Lumber, if you've ever heard of a Star Lumber. Places like that where they had lumber and screws and nails, things like that. They had an auction here about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that. And these buildings, there's a bunch of buildings here, and then the outside, and it was just clear full of stuff. There was table after table after table after pallet after pallet after pallet of stuff. And I had just recently moved out on my own about a year before that, and I had never really done much with eBay. I had thought about it before, but I had a few things I had put on there. But when I came to this auction, this is what really got me a jump start with eBay. I bought probably 5 or 6 truckloads of stuff out of here because stuff was going dirt, and I mean dirt cheap. Like I bought a Magneto. It was on a table. I gave $2 for it. Come to find out, it was off of an ended motorcycle, and I sold it for hundreds of dollars. And I bought an old tube tester for $2 and sold it for, I think, $150. And just, I'm not kidding, I bought truckloads of stuff, and I made probably $5,000-$6,000 off of this auction on eBay. As a 20-year-old guy, I was thinking, oh man, this is pretty good. I was single back then. I was making good money selling stuff on eBay back then. I had nothing but time. I didn't have a family. And actually, believe it or not, I still have a few things that I bought at that auction, things I just never got around to selling. But yeah, I had a ton of fun. I bought tons of stuff, and that was probably my first big auction where I actually went to and bought stuff for myself, and I wasn't with my dad buying stuff. And he ended up actually buying the property at that auction years and years ago. Everything in here is all his stuff, other than like those license plates. Those are technically kind of both of ours. I do have a little bit of stuff over here I'll show it to you guys in a minute, but other than that, everything else in here is all his. This old DeSoto is pretty sharp. The guy bought this car just for the Hemi, pulled the Hemi out and scrapped the rest of it. Look at these door handles, how they're rounded like that. Look inside this car though. Pretty clean car. Floor's got some rust in them, as you can see down there. But that's about typical. Anymore, people come out wanting rust-free old cars. I laugh at them. I mean, that just doesn't hardly exist anymore. This isn't 1982 anymore. Yeah, this car is in pretty good shape. It's got some body damage here, it looks like, but not much rust. What is this? A fire dome? Yeah. DeSoto fire dome. All this stuff back here is mine, and actually, I was wanting one of those. You know my buddy Sean that comes and helps me cut stuff up a lot of times? He has a couple of those. He fills them with water and then puts air to them. That way they're pressurized, and that's what he uses for fire control. And I just asked him to help me find 1 or 2 of those, and I guess I already had them. I didn't even know it. So I'll definitely take those with me today while I'm here. But I've got these bicycles. I bought those out of a storage unit. I got those and these over here. And I think there's a few car parts down here underneath this rug. Some Mustang stuff and some old Monte Carlo stuff like that. Then I've got some old irons down there, just a handful of stuff that I got out of a storage unit years ago. I sold most of it, but I had 1 truckload, like small truckload of stuff left, and I just went and grabbed it, and it was right down the road, so I just brought it here and stashed it in here real quick. And I used to live about 3 blocks from here, and I was going to come over and sell it, and I just never got around to it. Wow, that's a lot of desks. Tons of desks. I think he got those from a school If I remember right, they auctioned all that stuff off, and I think he gave like $5 for all of those. Look at this old Sabre. This is another one here. Pretty clean car. That's why he parked these in here, as they were all fairly clean cars. Got a little bit of damage to the hood, but look at the rest of it. Just a little bit of surface rust. Still has the window sticker in it. $77,000 original miles. Wow. Don't know anything about it. I don't know if it runs. Probably not. Probably needs some work. After they've been sitting for long enough, especially with today's gas. That ethanol in the gas messes with them, so you gotta tear them apart and work on them a little bit. Look at this old Edsel. Edsel Ranger. He had this one here running not long ago, I think. I think he posted a video on Facebook about it. He needs a carburetor. I think he said the carburetor on this thing just pukes fuel everywhere. Pretty clean car. Two-door sedan. I like the Edsels that have the dash that spins around in a circle. Those are pretty interesting vehicles. This one here is just the plain Jane style 3-speed V8 car. We've got a handful of Edsels. Last tagged in well, somebody had to have put that on there, because there's no way this car was tagged in 59, because this is a 59. So somebody must have put that tag on there, because in Kansas and a lot of states really, you can actually use the year the car was tagged as the license plate for the car. This car here, I remember when he got this thing. This was a super late model car when he got it, and I think it had a blown head gasket or something like that, and so he just didn't have the heart to crush it back then. He is not quite as heartless as I am, and so he put it in here, but that was right about the time that these things started going bad, and now we get these all the time. So once he gets this out of here, he's just going to go ahead and scrap it. Just an old Pacifica. Oh, check these out. I remember these. I remember helping get these out of the building where they were at. We bought the contents of a building years and years ago, and there was all these barrels were stacked up, and we had to go in there and unstack, and there was a bunch more stuff in there too, but we scrapped a lot of it. We sold a lot of it, saved some of it. The guy that had these would just sit out there and sort stuff, and every load of scrap that he got in, he was an old-time scrapper, and he would just go through it, and all the screwdrivers went in one barrel, and all of the wrenches went in one barrel, and I don't even know what's in this one. Just miscellaneous stuff. Looks like more tools. Here's more tools. Tools. Handles. Hammer handles. The guy would just sort everything that he got, and a lot of it's broken junk, but people love making arts and crafts out of these things. And so we've actually sold, or I think my dad sold some of this stuff, like a lot of files. There's some files and rasps in there. I know he sold some of those for guys to make knives out of. Not sure what else is in here. Just all sorts of miscellaneous things. There's a hatchet. That's kind of neat. All sorts of odds and stuff. And if I remember right, there was probably 20 or 30 barrels that were full of nothing but extension cords and cords off of power tools and things like that that were broken. And I think we scrapped all that. I think, if I'm remembering right, this is my old stove out of the house I used to live in. All of these old welders were in there as well. Now, we have not tested any of these out. These may or may not work. What we really need to do with those is just run them to the auction. Probably should go ahead and plug them in first and see if they work, but I would say they probably work, or I don't know why they would be all saved nice and neat like they are. Next up, I'm going to show you something really cool. But first, I want to tell you guys that I started a brand new channel. It's called More Adventures Made from Scratch. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a brand new channel. It's my stuff. What I'm going to be doing there is I'm going to be posting things that aren't related to the junkyard. Stuff like this that I'm filming right now will go on my main channel. Wait for the wind to go. Great big gust of wind hit me and messed with my microphone. But anyway, any adventures that aren't related to the junkyard, whether it be mushroom hunting, camping, anything like that, treasure hunting that's not junkyard treasure hunting, stuff like that is going to be on the second channel. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so if you guys could help me get to that goal or beat that goal, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, if you don't like to watch that type of stuff and you only want to watch car stuff, then I understand that, and you don't have to subscribe. Please don't feel obligated. But if you like to watch whatever I'm up to, no matter what it is, please head on over there, check out the link in the description below, and please subscribe. And here it is. This is just the coolest thing. An old carnival ride. A really old carnival ride. I'm not even sure how old this is. Here's all the panels for it still. All these buckets would hang off of this up here, and then it would spin around in circles, obviously, and I'm sure they would come out to some extent. It probably didn't go that fast, but they'd probably swing out a little bit. Definitely not as safe as today's rides, but just for the novelty's sake, it's a pretty interesting piece. And then it's mounted on a trailer to where it can actually be pulled from carnival to carnival, and it does work. The tires are low on it. Probably gonna have to air that up. I think my dad got a new valve stem for one of these. It may be this front one here. One of these he's gonna fix to where it actually holds air again. It's been converted to run on an electric motor, so you can just plug this in anywhere and use it. We haven't tested it out in quite a while, so in the event that that motor isn't much good or it needs replaced, then I'm sure it's not too expensive. It's not a very big motor. If I can walk around here where I can see it a little bit better. There it is right there. I'm sure if that motor did have to be replaced, it wouldn't cost that much. These pieces here actually fold down and stick out the sides. Here's the guardrails that go on it. It's all here. It's 100% here. And this piece here folds down as well. Oh, it's attached over there. But it was made to where they could just fold it up, stack the guardrails on here, put the baskets on here, and then they could go from carnival to carnival. There we go. I got that door closed. That wind was messing with me. Yeah, here it is. It's a very cool piece. He's had it for a while and he's wanting to sell it now. I believe he's asking $3,000 or best offer. If you're interested in this, you can go ahead and email me. I'll put my email in the description below as well. It's buy.amfs@gmail.com. That's the email you can use to contact me about buying anything. I can't guarantee that I'll reply right away, especially if you're wanting pictures of something. But this unit here, I'll be watching my email specifically for emails about this. So if you are interested, be sure to email me. The location is Hutchinson, Kansas. This does roll and it is a trailer, but I don't know how old these tires are, so I would definitely recommend if you are interested and you do buy it, you bring another trailer to load it on that trailer. I would hate for you to take off down the highway and have a tire or something blow out. But yeah, all sorts of neat stuff in this building here, and this is just one of several buildings. There's actually another building next to this one that's got some cars in it, and then there's another building beside that. I think that one's rented out, and then there's another building on the other side of that that's rented out. And then across the way over here, there's another building, and there's some more old cars in there. We can go check those out now. This old truck here is pretty neat. I think you guys have actually seen this once before. One day I was in this little lot right here getting something, and I showed you guys this truck, the Hutchinson Concrete Company. Here's an old Ranchero here. Pretty rusty, but it does have a really clean engine, and believe it or not, it was running not that long ago. This old 58 Chevy is a little bit crispy on the back end where it had a fire right next to it. So it's kind of on the rough side. And then this old midget here. I'm sure my dad would sell this one as well. The Ranchero's for sale as well. I'm not sure what he's asking on these. This car here is pretty clean. It has a little bit of rust in it, and it was actually stored inside until not long ago. It's only been sitting outside for a little bit of time. Check out this thing. This is an old Packard ambulance Henny. It's got the wraparound windows in the back of it. Pretty interesting piece right here, and this one's in pretty good condition. I don't think there's a motor or transmission in here. I saw these on Craigslist one day, or maybe it was Facebook, I can't remember which, and I sent them to my dad because I knew he likes unusual stuff, and that was before I was really buying too much yet. I didn't even have my property that I have now, so I wasn't too interested in them, but I showed them to him, and I'm like, man, these things are pretty cool. He says, yeah, they are, so he ended up buying them. This old Mustang here is pretty rough, and I know it's just a Mustang, but it's a Mustang convertible, and it does run. It's wrecked on the front a little bit, so one of those ones that you kind of hate to crush it, but at the same time, what else do you do with it? And believe it or not, we actually have another Packard ambulance in here. This in here, body-wise, isn't quite as nice as the other, but this in here does have the motor and tranny in it, and it was running when it was parked in this building anyway. And it's been covered up, so I'm sure it still runs. This in here, you can actually get in. The front part of the car is about the same as a normal Packard, but the back half is where it's really interesting. These would make really, really sweet campers or parts haulers. Or this would be really cool if you kind of beefed up the suspension and maybe put a newer engine in it or something like that, and you put a trailer hitch on the back of it and you took it to the swap meets, and you could haul a small load of stuff with you and you could actually sleep in the back of it. That'd be kind of a neat idea. Check out those taillights. Those are some funky looking taillights. Looks like alien bug eyes. Huh. I'm not entirely sure what his plans are for these. He might sell them if someone was interested. Big old bumper guards. Big bulbous bumper guards. This old Ford truck here was just super clean. It's a short bed. I believe the transmission was bad in it. It's another one of those ones that he just wasn't in the mood to crush it that day. You guys know what I would do with it. And then this old, I think this is a Plymouth or a Chrysler. Yeah, this is a Chrysler 300 convertible. Drug this out of a tree row. It's kind of on the rough side, but it is a convertible. Got bucket seats, console on the floor. That one there I know he would sell if someone was interested in that. And most cars that he sells, he's priced around $1,500. I think these Packards he would want a little bit more than that for. But if you're interested in any of the other cars that I've shown so far, he's probably around $1,500. And just because I know if I don't show it to you guys, there's going to be somebody in the comments saying, hey, why'd you pass over that tractor? Here's an old tractor. I don't even know what it is. What is this in? It's Minneapolis? Or what is, no, this isn't Minneapolis. It's two. So this is an Alice Chalmers, isn't it? Yeah. See, I don't know my tractors very well. But it's got the old belly sickle mower. Kind of a cute little tractor. I'm sure he'd sell that. He'd probably take less than $1,500 for that if you're interested in it. This car here is another pretty clean one. Look at the interior in this thing. Old LeSabre. Pretty clean car. The fender's laying up there. The bumpers are up here. Not much rust, just a little bit around the rear wheels. This one is for sale as well if anybody's interested. Check this thing out. This is an old raffle machine from the Kansas State Fair. They actually used to do a raffle in here, you can kind of see, from the Kansas Lottery. I can't remember exactly why they got rid of it. There was some reason, I don't know if they got a different style, if they went digital or what they did, but they don't do the actual physical roller like this anymore. And you guys kind of laugh at me, but if you're from Pueblo or Arizona or somewhere like that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I thought this thing would make a really, really good chili roaster for chili peppers, because that's kind of what they already use. I've always had intentions of trying to sell it. I've just never got around to it. It's parked in here out of the weather though, so it'll be all right for now. There's a whole bunch more stuff in here too. This old car here actually runs. We parked it right where it's sitting. This is a convertible. The top works. This is a 62, I think. Yeah, 62. And the front clip is actually the same as a 61, but the car is a 62. 1962 Dodge. Was this what is this? I can't remember what it is now. My brain's slipping. I can't remember everything. But yeah, it's automatic on the dash, all the seats, and we actually have a two-door hardtop car that matches this. Identical. You guys may have seen that in my other videos. We would sell them together or we'd sell them separate. I believe my dad is asking $2,500 is what he's asking for this convertible. It hasn't been started now in probably about 7 or 8 months, but with a little bit of tinkering in it, I won't lie, it didn't run great. The engine was fine, but once again, it's been sitting for a while, so the carburetor needs rebuilt. I'm sure it needs a complete tune-up, but it does run and the engine's not blown up. It's not throwing a rod through the side of the block or anything like that. This old Jaguar here, a super clean car. I believe it ran and drove, but the title was messed up on it, and the family just couldn't get the title straightened out. So we parked it in here in the hopes that maybe they would get it straightened out. And I know this isn't a high-end car. It was when it was new, but these are kind of known as a money pit, for lack of better words. But some people do appreciate these old S-types. Kind of ashamed to scrap it out, but I think that's probably what's going to happen with this one, just because we can't get that title straightened out. This old Lincoln is a pretty sharp car. If I remember right, this has got really low mileage on it. Let's check it out. Look at that interior. See, this is kind of like that other one. Blue on blue. This one has a white top at least. Oh, where's the mileage? Yeah, 64,000 original miles on this car. I'm sure he'd love to find a home for this one. Like I say, I'm guessing, but he's probably around $1,500 on this one. That's about the going rate that my dad usually wants for cars, is around $1,500. If there's not a whole lot there, if it's missing parts or whatever, sometimes he'll take less. Or if it's something nicer like that convertible, he wants a little bit more. And then this truck here, my dad bought it on Purple Wave, was going to make a yard truck out of it, and they said it ran good and all this and that. It's an old 80, I just about broke my ankle. It's an old 84 or 5, 83, 4, 5, something like that, Dodge, 3/4 ton. And it's a little bit of rusty, but it's not that bad. It's workable. It's good for a yard truck. He goes and gets the truck, picks it up, come to find out the motor is locked up tight. It's blown up. They overheated it, something. I don't know what they did to it, but they locked it up tight. And in the description, it says it ran good. But the guy at the place said, no, it does not run. Purple Wave just didn't bother listening to us. So we argued with Purple Wave, and they said, oh, it was sold as is, where is, no guarantees. So you're stuck with it. We could have fought him over it, but it was $700, so we're not going to argue over it. It does have a lot of good parts on it. It's got a Ram hood ornament on it that's worth a little bit of money, and it's got lots of good interior parts, so we'll just use it for parts or part it out or do something with it, but it's not worth fixing. I think there's a few more old cars outside. It is so windy. I mean, extremely windy today, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to say much. I don't know what the audio is going to be like. We'll try, but at least you guys get to see them. Got an old Cutlass G-body. A little bit rusty, but not too bad. Cutlass Supreme. And this old two-door sedan Ford. Pretty clean car, and I believe this one here ran, just not very good once again. Typical old car that's been sitting. It's got an extra set of wheels, all the hubcaps. Last tagged in 1973. Pretty clean car. I know this one's for sale. I don't know about the Cutlass. This is kind of an unusual little car, a little Sprint. You just don't see those very often. And it's just a junker, but still, just kind of unusual. Little Chevrolet Sprint. Don't see them very often at all. And last but not least, we got a few old cars here. This old 68, I think the 68 Thunderbird, sat behind a house forever, and I tried to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it. And then some kids came down the alley one day, busted all the windows out of it, and then the people got evicted out of the house. The landlord claimed everything on the property. That was one of the things on the property, and he sold it to us for scrap price. So I guess I got the car in the long run. It was a lot nicer 10 years ago. It's good wall art, about all it is now. I mean, it does have a few good parts. It's got a rear end under it that's probably worth a little bit, and it's got the 429 under the hood. But other than that, it's pretty much just wall art. This car here, the title was all sorts of messed up on this as well, so that's why it's in here. And then there's another old Lincoln there, and if I remember right, no, that's not it. Yeah, it's just a regular old hardtop there. Actually, I don't remember why that's in here or where it came from. That may be one there that my dad just bought and didn't want to scrap it, so he stashed it in here. It's a pretty rough car. It's got some rust in the quarter panels. Probably a pretty good parts car, though. Here's another old Dodge here. I wish I had my tools so I could pull that hood ornament off. I don't know where this one came from or where my dad got it or how long he's had it or anything. Looks like it's probably a 85, I think. I can tell you real quick. It's got the big bolt pattern, and it's got that style of grill. So yeah, this is an 85. That's the only year they had the big bolt pattern on the half tons in that grill. 81 to 84 had the small bolt pattern with that grill, and then 86 had the big bolt pattern, but it had a different grill. My first vehicle I ever had when I was 14 was an 85 short bed. My dad bought it for me so I could drive it to high school. Total piece of junk, but boy, I love that truck. This one here is not in too bad a condition rust-wise. A little bit in the bed, but the bed floor is pretty solid. So yeah, there's a lot of good parts on this truck. These trucks are starting to come into their own. It's starting to get more popular. I was thinking, I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but this Edsel is not for sale. That's one he doesn't want to sell. And that's that, guys. I think I'm about done here. I think I've showed you about everything that's here. A lot of really cool cars in here, that's for sure. And no, I didn't mean for this to be an advertisement to sell cars. That's not what this video was at all. I just know that my dad's in here working right now, and he's dragging a lot of stuff out of here. And so I wanted to come in here and make a video before it was all gone. That being said, at the same time, I know he's wanting to sell the stuff, so I figured, well, I would just go ahead and mention that. But with that, I'm going to grab those fire extinguishers and I'm going to head out. Like I mentioned earlier, please check out my second channel. Please subscribe if you're into just random adventures. That would really make my day. Please remember to like this video as well. As always, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And remember to get out there and find an adventure. We'll see you on the next one.